going of Nichiren's writings. Let me just get the Instagram going. I'm just going to pick one at random. This time I'm going to use the light on one of my phones to see better. So I have to be squinting and trying to get close to the light. Okay. Let's see, Instagram. It's funny because this one doesn't have a SIMS card and doesn't have a phone line on it. I'm just using Wi-Fi, but it seems like this one I get better reception on my Instagram feed than I got on my Facebook feed. The picture wasn't good and the timing wasn't good. It looked all blurry and shit. And the sound wasn't that great yesterday. But it looks good on this end if I'm looking at the video. Okay, here we go. If we go live. Okay, checking connection. Am I turned around? Okay, that's good. Okay, now we're live on YouTube, live on Instagram, and I'm going to do my nightly reading. It's my 4th day being unemployed, and I'm stressing a lot less. Around 3 or 4 hours today. Little breaks in between. Apply for jobs and do other things. I went to skate roll tonight, and I went to work out at the gym earlier today. Got my car washed. But I chanted a lot. I chanted more than I've ever chanted in one day in many years. It's amazing when I have difficulties how I can focus on really doing Nam-myoho Renge-kyo and breaking through all this. Okay, so I'm going to just pick a random page. Oh, I picked volume 2. Is that okay? Let's see. This one's called Rulers of the Land of the Gods. Okay, we're going to read that one. A little bit of it anyway. It's probably too long. I feel a little more confident because I found a checkbook of checks I can write until July 13th, I think, from Discover. And I called them today. They said they can transfer it into my account up to $2,700. And that'll at least make sure I can pay the rent this month. I got to pay only a 5% fee for that, which is like $100 and something. And for 12 months, I'll have no interest on it, which is pretty cool. So I'm probably going to do that tomorrow. And just to make sure I don't get kicked out of my place. I can buy some time to get a job, and hopefully my unemployment goes through. So I'm just going to do the picture. I'm going to do the light on this one. Where's the light? Flashlight. There we go. Okay. So this is number 262 on page 612 of volume 2 of the writings of Nichiren Daishonin. He was a monk in 13th century Japan. He was born in 1222. He died in 1280 something. I can't remember. So he's 60 something maybe. He died at Mount Minobu. So this one, ruler of the land of the gods. So people call land of the gods Japan. That's part of their religion, Shinto. They believe they're the land of the gods. So the background I'm going to read first just to find out who this letter was written to and why it was written. Okay. So it says background. Nichiren Daishonin wrote this work at Minobu. So the last one I read last night was at Minobu in 1275. So I think he died 1280 something. It is not clear exactly to whom it is addressed. He opens with mention of the various names of the country of Japan and the various provinces, marches, and islands that compose it. I never heard of them calling marches, provinces and marches. Well, he then points out that Japan has always been considered to be the land of the gods, a country protected by an assortment of tutelary deities. He states that when Buddhism was transmitted to Japan, excuse me, Japan became foremost among the 80,000 nations believed to compose Jambudvipa in terms of the protection it received from the gods and the Buddhas. So at this time, they believed there was how many? 80,000 nations in the world at that time. What was considered a nation, I don't know. Could be a little tribe in America, as if they even knew about America. 80,000, that's just a common number in Buddhism now. 8 equals open, so they always say 80 this, 80 that, and thousands, always 10,000s. Okay, but the Daishonin raises the question of the downfall of the ruling Taira clan and the death by drowning of Emperor Ontoku in 1178 through 1185. Wow. I didn't know it was one of the emperors drowned. I know that the year before he was born, one of the emperors was killed, and 2 of the retired emperors were exiled to Sado Island and to a smaller island south of that, and I can't remember that name of that island. Whose maternal grandfather was Taira no Kiyomori, the head of the Taira clan and Grand Minister of State. This occurred despite all sorts of prayers offered by the eminent priests of the True Word Doctrine for the victory of the Taira over the Minamoto clan. Then he cites the event known as the Jokyu disturbance, named after the Jokyu era, which is 1219 to 1222. So that era ended the year Nichiren was born. When it occurred, this was an attempt by the retired Emperor Gotoba to overthrow the Kamakura shogunate. So the shogunate was the warring warlords who took over Japan and killed an emperor and exiled 2 emperors the year before Nichiren was born in 1221. Established by, so the retired emperor tried to overthrow the Kamakura shogunate, established by the Minamoto clan and now ruled by the Hojo clan. His attempted coup was quickly put down by the forces of Hojo Yoshitoki and Gotoba and his co-conspirators, Juntoku and Tsuchimi Kado. Both retired emperors were exiled respectively to the island of Oki, that's what it was, and the island of Sado, and the province of Tosha. Oh yeah, so this was when the year before he was born. So Oki is south of Sado Island on the same coast, which is the opposite coast of where the shogun was ruling in now Tokyo, which is Kamakura at the time. It's part of Tokyo now. And the province of Tosa, later to be the province of Awa in Shikoku. Emperor Chukyo, a son of Juntoku, was dethroned after less than 80 days' reign. The Daishonin states that these sovereigns had all relied on the priests of the true word doctrine for their prayer for the defeat of enemies. Why was it then that those sovereigns who should have been protected by the gods and Buddhas, despite prayers by the eminent priests, could meet such untoward fates? The Daishonin, born 1 year after Jokyu disturbance, grew up among lingering popular dismay over this unprecedented event. He had since his childhood sought to understand its basic cause and had arrived at the conclusion that it lay in belief in erroneous Buddhist teachings and opposition to the correct teaching, the Lotus Sutra. He points out that offering prayer based upon the erroneous doctrine of the true word invited retribution in the form of the downfall of the Taira clan and the exile of the retired emperors. The Daishonin had been urging the people of Japan as well as the region of the Kamakura shogunate to abandon the true word and other misguided doctrines and to take faith in the Lotus Sutra. But neither the ruler nor the people paid him any heed, responding instead by attacking and persecuting him. In the end, he sternly rebukes the various gods and deities, indicating that they should fulfill the vow they made in the presence of the Buddha to protect the votary of the Lotus Sutra. So it says gods, but that's the translation of kami. Kami is really forces, like the wind god, the force of wind. It's not what we consider gods now. It's more of a deified force. The wind god is kamikaze, and the kami yama of the mountains, and the kami of the rivers, and the kami of the sea. So they have these different forces that they pray to, which are deities. It's not the same as a god, really, but that's the best translation of it. Okay, so we're going to read it, see how much I'll read tonight, I'll see. Okay. If we consider the matter carefully, we find that Japan is also known by the name Mizuho no Kuni, land of vigorous rice stalks, as Yamato, as Akitsushima, Dragonfly Island, and as Fuso, Sun Tree. Made up of 66 provinces and 2 islands, it contains a total of 88 provinces. It is over 3,000 ri. Ri is a measurement. From east to west. I think east to west. A ri, I can't remember what a ri is. How long that is. 3,000 ri. Undetermined length from north to south. So they didn't even know the length from north to south at that time, because barbarians were way up in the north and hardly anyone went up north. At one time, the north was cut off because there was a big volcano that erupted. I think it was Zao, near south of Sendai, near Fukushima. I think it is. When it erupted, the lava flowed both to the east coast and the west coast, so it cut off northern Japan, and that's where the daimyo in Sendai, I had a shirt of his, what's his name? I forget, he was a real popular one. He became the ruler of the northern barbarians, they called them, because they were cut off. Among the various provinces are the 5 provinces of the capital region and those that make up the 7 circuits or marches. The 5 provinces of the capital region are Yamashiro, Yamato, Kawachi, Izumi, and Setsu. The 7 circuits are the 15 provinces of Tokaido, the 8 provinces of Tosando, the 7 provinces of Hokurikudo, the 8 provinces of San Indo, the 8 provinces of San Kaido, and the 11 provinces of Saikaido, which is also known as Shinzei or Dazaifu. These are the provinces of the land. Coming now to the sovereigns of the land, we find that in the age of the gods, there were 12 reigns, those of 7 heavenly deities and 5 earthly deities. So this is the myth of the formation of Japan. The first of the 7 heavenly deities was Kuni no Tokotachi no Mikato. And the 7th was a couple, Izanagi no Mikato, the husband, and Izanami no Mikato, his wife. The first of the 5 earth deities was Amaterasu. Amaterasu is the sun god, the god of the sun. Omikami. Oh, yeah. Amaterasu Omikami, which is the sun goddess of the grand shrine of Ise. So it's a sun goddess, not a god, who was the daughter of the deities Izanagi and Izanami. One of them poked a sword into the, this is the story of Japan, poked a sword into the ground and pulled it up, and that caused the islands of Japan that are mud clots from the pulling out of the sword of the water of the, that's how Japan was formed, according to this legend that he's saying is true. Whether he believed that it was true or not, I don't know. I guess people did in that time. All people, even Buddhist leaders. Okay, where was I? Okay. The was Kiko, Nagisa, Take Ugaya, Fuki, Aezu no Mikoto. I'm not seeing the, I don't have the Chinese characters, so I don't know what exactly all these things mean. With some of the characters, I can kind of understand a little bit of what the meanings are. He was the son of the 4th earth deity, Hiko Hohode Mino Mikato. His mother was the daughter of a dragon. These are the 5 reigns of the earth deities, which with the early reigns make up the 12 reigns of the age of the gods. So they believe after they created this land, it was just ruled by gods, and then people came after that. Okay. As for the human sovereigns, there have been perhaps 100 reigns. The first of the human ruler was Emperor Jimmu, who was the son of Hiko Nagisa. Skipping now, we come to the 14th ruler, Emperor Chitai, the father of Hachiman. So the Hachiman shrine was about this 14th ruler, his son, I guess. Hachiman is considered a Buddhist deity in Japan. The 15th ruler, Empress Jingu, the mother of Hachiman. Okay, so after the father ruled, the mother ruled as an empress. So they had a lot of empresses back in the days. And the 16th ruler, Emperor Ojin, son of Shuai and Jingu, who is now known as the Great Bodhisattva Hachiman. Oh. I guess Great Bodhisattva Hachiman was one of the descendants of the Emperor Hachiman. Okay. Emperor Senka. Up to this time, though the teaching of the Buddha already existed in India and China, it had not yet been introduced to Japan. The 30th ruler, Emperor Kimei, was the son and heir of the 27th ruler, Emperor Chitai. Not to be confused with Chitai, which is a cell phone, because it's a different kanji character, probably. But it's spelled the same in Romaji. Keitai, which is Chitai is your cell phone. He ruled for 32 years. On the 13th day, it's getting tiring, something like this. Okay, 13th day, cyclical sign Kanato Tori of the 10th month of the 13th year of his reign, the year with the cyclical sign Mizunoe Saru. This is 552 in our common era. King Shongyong, ruler of the kingdom of Pekche, which is Korea, I believe, presented the Japanese court a gilt bronze statue of Shakyamuni Buddha. It is the image that at present is known throughout Japan by all people, high and low alike, as Amida Buddha. Why would a bronze statue be known as Amida Buddha, which is kind of weird, because Amida Buddha was a fictitious character in one of the parables in one of the sutras, which everyone started praying to, which is why he says all the shit went wrong, is because they were praying to Amida Buddha, which is a fictitious character, or a character not from this earth, talked about in another galaxy or another time zone, on another planet in the Western paradise. I believe it's Western. Eastern? Western, I can't remember. Okay. The memorial accompanying it reads, "Your servant has heard that of all the 10,000 doctrines, the doctrine of the Buddha is the finest. In dealing with worldly affairs as well, the Buddhist doctrine is most superior. Your Imperial Majesty, too, should practice it. Therefore, with all due respect, I have entrusted to my envoy this Buddhist image, the sacred writings and Buddhist teachers, and present them herewith. I urge your Majesty to put faith in them." So this was a envoy of sutras and priests that was sent from Korea to introduce Japan to Buddhism at the time. It was a gift. During the 30 or more years that made up the reigns of the three rulers, Emperors Kimei, Bidatsu, and Yomei, however, no reverence was paid to Buddhism. Among the various things that happened during that period, there were strange and unusual occurrences in the heavens and on earth much like those we see in our own time, though those we witness today are far worse by comparison. From the time of the 33rd ruler, Emperor Shushun, Buddhism came to be honored by the people of the country. And in the time of the 34th ruler, Empress Suiko, it flourished greatly. So later on, emperors decided, or people started practicing Buddhism and it started flourishing. At that time, the schools known as the Three Treatises and the establishment of truth schools were first introduced. This Three Treatises school represents the first school of Mahayana doctrine to make its appearance in India, in China, and in Japan, and hence may be said to be the parent of all the Buddhist schools. In the reign of the 36th sovereign, Empress Kogyoku, the Zen School was introduced, and in that of the 14th sovereign, Emperor Tenmu, the Dharma characteristic school. In the reign of the 44th ruler, Empress Gensho, the Mahavarashana Sutra was first brought to Japan, and in that of the 45th ruler, Emperor Shomu, the flower garland, 6th sovereign, Empress Koken, the precepts and lotus schools were introduced. So it wasn't for a while before the Lotus Sutra, the final teachings of Buddhism, was introduced to Japan. But of these two, only the precepts teachings were widely propagated, while those of the Tendai Lotus School were not. Okay. Trying to block my face. My legs are cold. In the reign of the 50th sovereign, Emperor Kamu, there lived a sage named Saicho. He selected the Lotus Sutra as his own, and on that basis proceeded to criticize the teachings of the 6 schools of Dharma analysis, treasury, establishment of truth, precept. In addition, having learned of the existence of the Mahavarashana school in China, he journeyed to China and there received instruction in the teachings of 4 schools, those known as the Lotus, True Word, Zen, and Mahayana precepts. On his return to Japan, however, he did not propagate the teachings of the Zen school, but only those of the Lotus and Precept school. He deleted the word school from the term True Word School. He gave permission for the priests of the 7 major temples of Nara to take part in the True Word anointment ceremony. The ordinary people of the time, however, not being familiar with the facts of the matter, supposed that when Saicho was in China, he made a thorough study of the Lotus School, but did not become thoroughly familiar with the teachings of the True Word School. During the same reign, that of Emperor Kamu, a priest named Kukai Okay, so let me read it. Ah! These pages are so thin. So many pages. Okay, there we go. It's because there's 1,000 pages in here and it's like they're super, super thin. During the same reign, that of Emperor Kamu, a priest named Kukai, journeyed to China and there studied the teachings of the True Word School. He did not return to Japan during Emperor Kamu's reign, however, but in the following reign, that of the 51st sovereign, Emperor Heizai, in the time of the 52nd sovereign, Emperor Saga, on the 19th day of the first month in the 14th year of the Konin era. This is 823. The year with the cyclical sign Mizu Noto U. Toji Temple was presented to Kukai to be the place of practice for the True Word School. The temple being given the name Gokoku Kyo-in, Temple for the Defense of the Nation through the King of Doctrines. It was 1 year after the death of the great teacher Dengyo. In the reign of the 54th sovereign, Emperor Nimyo, the Reverend Enning journeyed to China and there studied the teachings of both the Lotus and the True Word School and brought them back to Japan. In the reign of the 55th sovereign, Emperor Montoku, during the Ninju and Saiko eras, which is 851 to 857, Enning wrote his commentary on the Diamond Crown Sutra and his brief commentary on the Susitikara Sutra. I don't know what that's the Indian name. Making up 14 volumes in all, which, along with Sanwu Wei's commentary on the meaning of the Mahavarshana Sutra, constitute the 3 basic texts of the True Word School. He also established Soji-in Temple on Mount Hiei for the propagation of the True Word School teaching, which began on Mount Hiei at the time. So later, Mount Hiei became like the center of all of Buddhism in Japan. And that's when Nara was moved to near Mount Hiei. Nara was the capital, and it moved to Kyoto because Buddhism became so strong, flourishing there on Mount Hiei, which overlooks all of Kyoto. I went to the top of Mount Hiei, and I went to the main temple there. Since the propagation of the True Word School has thus been authorized on Mount Hiei, Enning, who was now chief priest there, studied and taught both the Lotus and the True Word doctrines. However, because he declared that the Lotus School is comparable to the moon, while the True Word School is comparable to the sun, many people surmised from this that the True Word School was somewhat superior. But the chief priest himself studied and taught both doctrines, and therefore most of the priests of Mount Hiei did likewise. During the same reign, a man named Reverend Enchin journeyed to China and there studied both the Lotus and the True Word schools. He returned to Japan in the 2nd year of the Tenon era, 858, of Emperor Montoku's reign. This man, when he was in Japan, not only made a thorough study of both the Lotus and the True Word teachings under Gishin. If you're listening on YouTube and you can't hear well later, go to my Instagram page because it's much better. The for some reason it picks up better on that phone, even though it's only on Wi-Fi on that phone. Well, this other one on YouTube is on Wi-Fi and my regular phone. Okay. Under Gishon, the first chief priest of Mount Hiei. Under Encho, the second chief priest. Under the superintendent Kojo, and under the third chief priest Enning, and others. But he also studied the true word doctrine of Toji Temple. After he went to China, he completed his mastery of the Lotus and True Word teaching there. He is the man who is now looked up to as the founder of the Lotus and True Word teaching on the Onjoji Temple line and the great teacher Chiso. Above is an account of the four great teachers, Saicho, the great teacher Dengyo. So Saicho, what he said at the beginning, is actually the great teacher Dengyo. Dengyo was his more honorific title. Kukai, the great teacher Kobo, that's his Kukai's honorific title. Enning, the great teacher Jikaku, and Enchin, the great teacher Chisho. All in all, in Japan, there are 8 branches within the True Word School. The 5 branches allied with Toji Temple regard the great teacher Kobo as their founder. The 3 branches associated with the Tendai School regard the great teacher Jikaku as their founder. The 85 sovereigns, the 81st sovereign was Emperor Antoku. His father was the eldest son of the retired emperor Takakura. His mother was Kenreimon, the daughter of the Grand Minister of State, Taira no Kiyomori. On the 24th day of the 3rd month in the first year of the Genraku era, which is 1184, the year with the cyclical sign Kinotomi, the ruler lost his life in the sea off the island of Yashima. He was attacked by the forces of the shogun Minamoto no Yoritomo and obliged to become food for the fish of the sea. So this was in 1148, was the first emperor to be killed. And then later, 2 emperors were exiled, and that's when the year before Nichiren was born. I thought that was the same year that the emperor was killed, but I guess it was in 1184. 1221 was when the 2 retired emperors were exiled. The 82nd sovereign, Emperor Gotoba, was later known as retired Emperor Oki because he was sent to the island of Oki. He was the 3rd son of Emperor, he was exiled there. He was the 3rd son of the Emperor Takakura. He ascended the throne in the first year of Bunji era, which is 1185's cyclical sign Hinoe Uma. The 83rd sovereign, Emperor Tsuchi Mikado, who was the eldest son of the retired emperor of Oki, was later known as the retired emperor of Awa. He succeeded to the throne in the 2nd year of Kenin era, 1202. That was 20 years before Nichiren was born. The 84th sovereign, Emperor Juntoku, who was later known as the retired emperor of Sado because they exiled him to Sado Island, which they later exiled Nichiren to. He's writing this after he was pardoned and returned to Kamakura and then later retired at Mount Minobu, where he's writing this one. Retired Emperor of Sado, who was the second son of the retired Emperor of Oki. Succeeded to the throne on the 26th day of the second month of the third year of the Jukyo era, 1221. So 1221 was when he became the emperor, and then he was exiled to Sado the year before Nichiren was born. Okay. Cyclical sign Konoto Mi. In the 7th month of the same year, he was exiled to the island of Sado. So in 1221, that's when they exiled him there, the year before Nichiren was born. These three rulers, father and son, the 82nd, 83rd, and 84th sovereigns, were all attacked by Hojo Yoshitoki, a retainer of the general of the right, Minamoto no Yoritomo. So he calls himself the general of the right. It means he's in the right, not right wing, but he's correct. In Kamakura, this was in Kamakura. Here I, Nichiren, would like to raise a very important question. The being known as the Buddha is the ruler of the threefold world, the teacher, the sovereign, and the parent of the great heavenly king Brahma, the devil king of the sixth heaven, Chakra, the god of the sun and the moon, the four heavenly kings, the wheel-turning sage kings, and all other rulers. All the rulers of the threefold world are apportioned their general territories and special territories by this Shakyamuni Buddha. And through him, they become rulers of the land. Therefore, Brahma, Chakra, and the others all fashion wooden statues or paintings of this Buddha and pay reverence to them. If even for an instant they should turn their backs on him, then the lofty terrace upon which Brahma stands would collapse. Chakra's palace, joyful to see, would crumble, and the crown of the wheel-turning kings would fall to the ground. The beings known as gods likewise are honored and revered as though they were living embodiments of the deceased rulers of the various lands. To the rulers and inhabitants of these various lands, they are like father and mother, like sovereigns, like teachers. If even for a moment one should turn against them, there would be no more peace and safety in the land. But so long as one honors them, the land will be spared from the three calamities and will escape the seven disasters. So the three calamities and seven disasters are Sansho Shima. And this is what he writes in the Securing the Peace of the Land, on Securing the Peace of the Land, which is Rishon Kokuron, which is his treaty on the Peace of the Land. He says, this is why everything's happening bad in Japan at the time, is because no one's following this, putting Shakyamuni as the top, and all the rest are subordinate to Shakyamuni. But so long as one honors them, the land will be spared from the three calamities and the escape from the seven disasters. Its inhabitants will not be troubled by sickness, but will live long lives, and in future existences they will be reborn as humans or heavenly beings, as followers of the three vehicles, or as Buddhas. Our country of Japan is foremost in the entire continent of Jambudvipa, superior to India and China, a land surpassing all the other 80,000 lands. I say this because, according to the record of the Western regions, although the Buddhist teachings of India prevails in some 70 or more Indian states, the other states are all given over to non-Buddhist beliefs. Number 108,040, but the temples here in our country number 171,037. So at this time, Buddhism was practiced more than in India and in China. So as it passed out of India, it stopped being practiced as much and more became a formality. Then as it went through China, it was practiced for a while, and then it became a formality. Now it's not so much practiced really in China compared to how it was back in the 12th century, or no, back in the 8th or 7th century. Let me read that part again. Our country, Japan, is foremost in the entire continent of Jambudvipa, superior to India and China, a land surpassing all other 80,000 lands. I say this because, according to the record of the Western regions, although the Buddhist teachings of India prevail in some 70 or more Indian states, the other states are all given over to non-Buddhist beliefs. Okay, so I just read this. The temples of China only number 108,000 more. They have 171,000 in their country. In size, our country, in comparison to India and China, is no bigger than an island of Oshima, of Izu, when compared to Japan. So he's saying Japan is so small, it's compared to a little island compared to the land of Japan if you compare it to India and China. Their size, they were way bigger, but they had more Buddhist temples at this time in Japan than they had in China or in India. And yet, in the number of temples, we've far surpassed both India and China. Moreover, in those countries, some of the lands are dedicated to the Mahayana teaching, others to the Hinayana teaching, and even the way of the elders, which is, Hinayana is actually a derogatory term created by Mahayana, which means lesser vehicle, but they call themselves I forget the name of what they call themselves. They don't call themselves Hinayana, which is lesser vehicle. They call themselves the way of the elders, or the way of the stages. Those adhering to Mahayana teachings are all following the teachings of provisional Mahayana. Here in Japan, however, every temple studies one or the other of the 8 or 10 schools of Buddhism, and every family and every household reads and recites the Mahayana scriptures. At this time, a lot of people practice Buddhism in Japan more than they do now. In India and China, only one person in 1,000 heeds Buddhist teachings. But in our country, in Japan, not a single person follows non-Buddhist teachings. Moreover, so in the 1200s, everyone was practicing Buddhism in Japan. And the leaders were too. Moreover, our gods include, first of all, the sun goddess, second, great Bodhisattva Hachiman, and third, mountain king, and the other deities of the 3,000 or more shrines. Day and night, they guard our land. Morning and evening, they watch over our nation. Furthermore, the sun goddess is worshipped in the imperial palace, where her form is reflected in the sacred mirror kept in the court ladies' quarters. While it is reported that great Bodhisattva Hachiman, having abandoned his sacred shrine, now resides on the head of the ruler of the nation. So Hachiman abandoned his shrine and now considered on the head of the ruler of Japan. Interesting. But in this nation, envoys. But if this nation enjoys the protection of the Buddha and the watchfulness of the gods, then why were its rulers such as Emperor Ontoku, the retired Emperor of Oki, and the retired Emperor of Awa, and the retired Emperor of Sado attacked by those who, for generations in the past, had been their followers? And why did they suffer death or exile to distant islands, or become angry spirits, or fall into the great hell? When even the smallest Buddhist ceremony is performed at Mount Hiei, the 7 major temples of Nara, Toji, Onjoji, or any of the other 171,037 temples and mountain monasteries of the land of Japan, prayers are in all cases offered for, quote, the continuance of heaven, the endurance of earth, the peace and well-being of the imperial person. In addition, great Bodhisattva Hachiman specifically took a great vow to guard and protect the supreme rulers. Thus, in the reign of the 48th sovereign, he entered the person of the Empress Takano. I wonder if that's the same kanji as my host mother, Takano. And announced, quote, in our nation, since the time it began, no subject has ever been able to assume the position of ruler. So, up until the takeover by the shogunate, no one had ever become ruler over the emperors because they were subjects. Those who ascend the imperial throne must invariably belong to the line descended from the sun goddess, and in addition, the great deity, declared through the person of the priest Gyokyo. I vow to guard and protect 100 rulers. It follows, therefore, that the 100 rulers, beginning with Emperor Jimmu and on down, should never suffer any harm to their imperial persons, regardless of what might happen, and no one should be capable of overthrowing their rule. It is said that a bodhisattva who is destined to succeed a Buddha in a future existence will never have his life cut short. And a sage never dies an untimely death. How is it then that these 4 rulers I have mentioned, who were not only driven from the throne and deprived of their kingdom, but were forced to give up their lives to the sea and to be exiled to one island or another? Did the sun goddess not enter into the imperial person? What happened to great Bodhisattva Hachiman's vow to protect 100 rulers? One should further note that in the reign of Emperor Ontoku, Myo-un, the chief priest of Enrakuji Temple on Mount Hiei, was relied upon as the teacher for the entire land. The Grand Minister of State and all the members of his family submitted a petition to the chief priest saying, just as Hofukuji Temple serves as the clan temple for the Fujiwara clan, and Kasuga Shrine serves as the clan deity for the Fujiwaras. So, we request that Enrakuji Temple be designated the clan temple of the Taira clan, and Hiei Shrine the designated the clan deity of the Tairas. At that time on Mount Hiei, the chief priest Myowu and 3,000 priests in his assembly carried out the great ceremony of the 5 altars. All the different branches of the Taira clan, from the Grand Minister of State on down, paid reverence to the honored, victorious Dharani and to the Wisdom King immovable. Offerings were made to the various temples and mountain monasteries, and no great ceremony or secret ritual of the true word teaching was left undone. So he's going to go on and explain why, because everybody had been practicing the wrong sect of Buddhism and not regarding the Lotus Sutra as superior, which is what the Buddha Shakyamuni said in the sutras. This is why the rulers of Japan weren't protected by these deities, and why there was 7 disasters and 3 calamities happened to Japan. And at the time he wrote the treatise called On Securing the Peace of the Land, Rishon Kokudon in Japanese, he said, that at that time only 6 of the disasters happened, not the 7th disaster. The 7th disaster was foreign invasion, and once he was exiled to Sato, that's when the foreign invasion occurred. The Mongols sent warriors over to tell Japan that they now have to pay fealty to the Mongol Kublai Khan. I forget the name of the emperor of the shogun. Of the Mongols at the time. It was Genghis Khan or Kublai Khan or one of those Khans. Khan. They attacked Japan because Japan didn't bow down to them and offer them fealty. Because when they sent two envoys, the emperor of Japan at the time, or the shogun of Japan, I can't remember which one, cut off their heads and sent them back to the Mongols and said, fuck you, basically. We're the land of the gods. You can't rule us. So that's was predicted in the sutras, that this would happen when the teachings were bastardized, which they were bastardized, and that's what he's going to explain in this writing and in his previous writings, and I'll go on to read the rest of it maybe tomorrow. Let me see if I did I do the fold? Land of the gods. Yeah, I did a fold. Okay, so I'm going to put the little dog, not only the dog ear, but there's a little thing that comes along with it. Oh yeah, here it is. This is the marker. It's really cool because it just, you can mark your place with a little string. This one has, my marker has a little ball on the end. Oh shit, I pulled it out. What was it stuck in? It has a ball on this side and a ball on that side, and a little character. How was it sealed in here? Ah shit, I pulled it out. Oh fuck. Anyway, those are pretty cool. This one has a leather case and a seal snap. This one has a zipper. I bought the covers when I bought the volumes at the bookstore in one of the, probably Orange County, I think. I bought this one in Orange County, and then I bought this one in LA at the main headquarters, across the street from the what used to be the World Culture Center. I think it's still called the World Culture Center. It used to be a big, tall building when they took it down. They just have the hall, which had a time capsule placed there until the year 2001. And I never got I knew what I wrote because I took a copy of it. I didn't accomplish all those goals that I wrote on that yet. But hopefully the 100-year anniversary of the founding of Soka University, when they open up that time capsule, when I'll be 130 years old, I will have fulfilled all the things I said in that one, hopefully. Okay, live video is paused. That's it. That's an hour long because it just ended on Facebook, on Instagram, so it only goes an hour. So I got to stop this one too. See you kids later.